Welcome to the Voice of Reason with yours truly, Robert McNeily. This show will be all about you, the American people, politics, punchlines, and a dash of that Western charm and that divine providence that has blessed us for nearly 250 years. It will be a mix of politics, of culture, music, and sports, really everything that not only President Trump loves, but what you love, the American people, bringing you subject matter experts on a whole host of a variety of topics. Thank you for watching The Voice of Reason with Robert McNeily, right here on the right side of history at RSBN. What if churches had a longer line outside than all them bars on Friday night? What if people prayed for people who ain't on their side? What if good ran off the bad, them streets of gold up there be packed? This whole world will look a lot better than we found it if we make heaven crowded. Welcome to the Voice of Reason. Always a joy to be with you on Thursday evenings, right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And we saw this week as Charlie Kirk once again honored posthumously with the Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States of America. And Charlie had some rules, if you will, about life and how to go about that, all released by Turning Point USA, 31 standards, if you will, for how to conduct yourself in today's society, how to live like Charlie Kirk. And I thought it would be worthwhile reading those off today. You might be wondering as well, why are you wearing your Cubs jersey? Well, he was a big Cubs fan too, and sadly they fell short just days ago in their playoff pursuits, but Charlie was a huge fan, so worth wearing on this day, this whole week, to remember what would have been his 32nd birthday. Number one, honor the Sabbath. Yes, that's first and foremost what we should be doing, and Charlie would take on that traditional Saturday Sabbath of the Jewish tradition, although being a Bible-believing Christian, also hearkening back to the founding of the people that God first revealed himself to, the Jewish people. And I thought that was really special how he would turn the phone off, spend time with family, and just be still. Something that is so needed in this rat race that is 2025. Number two, journal every day. Always good to write down your thoughts. God knows we do that in the news business. Always thoughts about what's happening in today, what could be around the bend tomorrow, and those thoughts that have shaped our own experiences. Really good. It brings a piece to that. If you journal just a bit a day, even if it's documenting things, a great way to learn how to start. Look towards great writers like Matthew Kelly, who talk a lot about journaling, or even the late, great Ronald Reagan, whose diaries are quite inspiring about his day-to-day actions within the White House and reflecting on a life that could only be made in America. Number three, send scripture to friends. And it's so much easier to now with these devices that we carry in our pockets, whether it be via Instagram or any of one of your favorite social media sites. You can do just that. Number four, have conversations with people who disagree with you. This was the highlight, a forefront of Charlie's mission, as we saw on the college campuses, whether it be events like Campus Clash to the American Comeback Tour, and now the Turning Point USA Tour, which is coming right here to Auburn, Alabama, a couple of weeks away, with special guests Eric and Laura Trump, amongst others, who will be part of what's sure to be a star-studded evening of inviting those, especially students, who might disagree and having that dialogue, because once we dialogue together, that means peace will come as a result, understanding, putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Such an important lesson for this day and age. Register to vote, number 5, something extraordinarily easy to do, to get involved civically. And really all of us throughout the United States, the very bare minimum, register to vote. Get involved at the local level, because that actually, based upon our system and the beauty of our founders, their fortitude, their wisdom, it's always the government closest to you that's going to affect you the most. So get out there, register to vote, run for office, knock doors for your favorite candidate. You might make a friend out of it, and you're doing yourself a service. You're doing your country a service, now 250 years young. Get married, number 6. And number 7, have kids. I mean, it's something that it's just a joy of my life to watch my friends getting married, having kids, and the parties that become more accustomed to being in your 30s and then going, of course, into your 40s, perhaps younger if you're blessed to have that. Those little kids running around making chaos, but it's awesome to watch as we seek to provide for the next generations an America better than the one we founded. And there are challenges right now, but I have confidence that millennials and Gen Z combined, the largest voting bloc, generationally speaking, in America right now, can make that difference for our kids. Go to church. This is something that it's become an institution I cannot live without, because that's where you commune with God's people. That's where you have that opportunity to step back and recognize what really matters. And again, to honor that Sabbath. It goes with number 8, because in turn, that's really the source and the summit of our lives in Christian community with those who are following the Lord and seeking to be more and more like him every single day. Work out, number 9. That's something that is so important because it releases a natural dopamine in your brain. And Charlie, I can remember as we were doing trainings way out in Phoenix, would make sure to get that in and run God knows how many miles as in between meetings and getting other tasks done. But he made sure that getting out there and working out, an important thing to do. Get sun. It's good to get that vitamin D3. It will make you happier. I can find myself across the country. I've had the opportunity to live in every part of the country other than New England. And I could tell you, I've always been a little bit more bright, a little bit more chipper down in the Sun Belt, right here in Alabama and Georgia. Also all the way out in State 48 in Arizona, where there's nearly 330 plus days of sun, if not more, in the Valley of the Sun. So good to get out there and be sun-kissed. Number 11, ask your spouse, how can I better serve you? If you don't have a spouse, ask your friends and your family members, those you commune with on a daily basis, your colleagues, how can I serve you better? How can I be better so that we may ultimately live out our vocations to our best extent? Number 12, read your Bible every day. And there's countless sources now. I could think of the Bible studies I've done with friends, from John MacArthur to the Great Adventure Bible of Jeff Cavins, to those daily scripture readings and devotionals that are out there, not just to make you feel good, but to pause for those 5 or so minutes to dive into scripture, to do Lectio Divina, if you're familiar with that, to read either the scripture of the day and then quietly reflect in that through prayer, and to read it over and over and see what's sticking out and speaking to you in silence, because God does speak to us in that silence. Number 13, stand up for your beliefs. No question about it. It will perhaps remove and prune people out of your life, but at the same time, you will gain really an army of one. And what I mean by that is a multitude of people who truly will be by your side in this journey defending truth. And if you continue to reach out to those you disagree with, as mentioned in number 4, then you have the best of both worlds. It's almost like having that porterhouse, the filet mignon and the sirloin on the other side. Why not have both of the best? And that's how you can do that here in 2025. Eat hot sauce. Charlie had a big hot sauce line, if you weren't familiar with it. He really enjoyed that. I think he thought that it was better for the digestive system, which I think he was onto something there. I enjoy hot sauce myself. Growing up, I was not quite a fan of it. I can remember my first Chipotle experience back in high school, and my brother always loved spice. He got me the hottest one, and I was like, what is wrong with you? And now, having worked in restaurants right out of college, I could tell you that I grew very accustomed to that, so I would have to agree, eat hot sauce. 15, carry a pocket constitution. I always do so in my bag or on my person in case you have to remind someone in your daily activities throughout life, you are violating my God-given rights. I've done that on one than more occasion, usually during my time in academia. 16, support local businesses. No better way to do that than through coffee, than through charity. But right here in the Auburn, Opelika area, so many great local businesses, and that's something I try to do on the road to focus on that local flair. But also, you're helping out a number of different people that can be in a tough situation given the corporate structure and apparatus that might be dominating their field. So be sure to frequent your local businesses. Number 17, drink a Mint Majesty tea with 2 honeys. Always good to do to soothe the throat. If you're a big speaker or a singer, something that I've adopted over the years as well. Number 18, avoid drugs and alcohol. Yes, both will make you sluggish. And Charlie didn't want to be legalistic about it, as he said many times. You want to have a drink, but really ask yourself, is that benefiting you in the long run? And if you're doing that every night, I'm especially speaking to the young people who watch the show, especially on the college campuses, a lot of temptations there. If you're going out every single night, there's no balance. And then you end up forgetting things. You end up just not being able to really get in gear. It's much more worthwhile to get up 5, 6 in the morning, get those tasks you need to get done, go work out, and then get ready for your day, especially as you get into the workday. Number 19, don't be afraid of what others think of you. This is a huge one, and this is perhaps maybe my favorite on the list because it can be a lonely journey at the top or on the way to a goal or a mission that's set apart by God for you. Each and every human being has dignity in this life and is inherently here for a number of reasons. And knowing that path, discovering that, is one of the most beautiful things that you can find on this side of heaven. There will be people who will be in the way. Bend, weave, curve, whatever you have to do. God will shut a door, but a window will open. And if you find someone smarter, if you find a really solid teammate, find a way to work with them instead of competing, because it makes sense. Both of you together can really get into that kingdom mindset and make that a reality here on earth. Get 8 hours of sleep. I think this is the only one I disagree with because I'm more of a person who operates between 4 to 6. Now, I can't do that every day, but I hate going to sleep. Charlie did hate going to sleep too because he loved what he did. When you love what you do, it's not really work, and that's a blessing from on high. And I'm really striving as I get older to get that 8 hours of sleep, a good balanced rest. You can have too much, you can have too little. Everyone's a little bit different, but I thrive in that 4 to 6 hours. So my good friend Charlie, I'm not sure if I agree with number 20, but I see where it's going in that direction. Now, number 21, limit your social media time. I learned this when working with True Social. Definitely limit to that hour or so because these things, it scares you how much you've ever looked in the settings and how much you pick it up or what different apps you're on. You're like, oh my goodness. For me, it can easily be a full workday of 8 hours just with different work-related items to keeping in touch with people. And I make sure to check myself on, oh my goodness, I picked this up over 100 times today. Now, some of that's just in transit as it is, but be sure that you're keeping your social media intake to a limit because it can end up really twisting your thought pattern. Number 22, touch grass, get out in nature. If you ever followed the Liver King, I don't endorse everything Liver King talks about, but one of his big things is get barefoot in the morning, go touch that grass. If you're fortunate enough to go out onto your lawn and breathe in that morning sun, it's a gift from God. It's magnetism We are connected to this earth in a spiritual sense. It's God's creation, and why not commune with it in an extraordinary way? Number 23, learn something new every day. You can learn something new every day, whether from a book, whether from a television series, whether from colleagues, friends, and family. Be sure to ask questions, especially from those who are where you want to be. Don't listen to those necessarily that want to give the advice but don't know what the hell they're talking about, because there's plenty of those naysayers or those Monday morning quarterbacks, if you will. Ask the questions of those that you see in life, especially if you're a student. How do I get where you are? I want to be in this driver's seat. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people who will help you out and will be tickled pink to share their own personal story. It's been true in my own life, where mentors have been very gracious in giving of the time and advice, as long as you have listening ears. Now, number 24, be a leader, not a follower. There will be moments in your life where you'll have to go down the path less traveled, and it's much more worth it. And you can find that leadership in every aspect of life, especially if you seek to serve, whether it's in church, in government, in your day-to-day life. If you seek to serve people, you will end up leading. Number 25, never surrender, never quit. I remember the time just a few years ago when I did not take a certain inoculation because of my health history, and it was very difficult. It was a very, very hard path. But I continued on that. I did not bend. I did not fold. And I'm glad that I stuck to my guns and ultimately to the belief of bodily autonomy. I thought something that was celebrated on the left, but clearly not anymore. Number 26, be bold and courageous. Step out like Charlie did. We've seen revival in this world. We've seen revival in America on the halls of government, steps to the church pews, and everywhere in between. Be bold, be courageous, because when you're authentically yourself, that will catch on, and people will appreciate it, even if they disagree with you on the other side of the aisle. 27, outwork your enemy. And you could do that in many different ways. I would encourage people to read Art of the Deal or The Art of War, what it's based off of, Sun Tzu's Eastern philosophies that President Trump has adopted, The Art of the Comeback. So many of his books really detail how he does things from a day-to-day basis to outwork the other side. And it's many times comes from pure determination, but with knowledge, with passion, and with a work ethic that really cannot be taught. It's not a taught behavior, but rather something that you encourage yourself to do. You will be able to outwork your enemy. Number 28, read The College Scam, one of Charlie's best books. I encourage also The MAGA Doctrine and Time for a Turning Point, amongst others, where he gave social commentary to what's happening on the colleges and universities. You don't necessarily need that college degree. Is it beneficial? Absolutely. Do you grow into the person that you become? No question about that. But make sure you know what you're studying. Make sure you know why you're going there in the first place, other than just going for a vacation or for a big party. You have to have direction in this life, and you can find that outside of the college campus. Number 29, work to own land. It's becoming a situation, whether you listen to Robert Kiyosaki, to other investors and economists, this is a renter's economy. There are certain corporations that are trying to make this solely a renter's economy, a renter's world, so that you do not own land. When you have property rights like our American Constitution guarantees, it scares those who are in power. So fight to own that land, fight to own that property, and to build that equity. Number 30, become ungovernable. And this, I wish he was still around to kind of divulge this more. And ultimately, really, we should stand for the U.S. flag and we should kneel before Christ. But outside of that, be your own person. Be that individual who will not be controlled by governance. Great advice from an extraordinary leader. And finally, at number 31, 31 ways to live like Charlie Kirk, as put out by Turning Point USA. Pick up the mic. Be unafraid. Sometimes we wait too long for, it doesn't look perfect. It doesn't look right. Well, not this time. Put out a good quality product, but sometimes it just takes stepping out into the arena. be the man or woman in that arena. Pick up that mic, as our guest tonight on The Voice of Reason is doing just that. Reagan Box, running for the United States Senate from the Peach State of Georgia, and President Trump speaking just yesterday in the Oval Office to the White House press pool. How important is it, this Peach State of Georgia, one of the original 13 colonies, in the upcoming election? Well, it's vital to the future of America. So goes Georgia. So goes the nation. We are honored to have tonight U.S. Senate candidate Reagan Box in the great Peach State of Georgia. Welcome to the Voice of Reason. Reagan Box, running for the United States Senate from that great Peach State of Georgia. Reagan, thank you for joining us. And please share with us, you have somewhat of a unique background as an equestrian, but you know a thing or two about the USDA and dealing with land and agricultural regulations. And you want to take that experience to Washington, D.C., as far as I understand.
Yes, I do. I mean, there's so much government regulation. I don't know how farmers and ranchers do it. When you look at prices of cows now around $1,500 a cow, here in Georgia, you're paying anywhere from $3,500 to $5,000 for an acre of land. You're having to pay for medication, feed, hay, baling equipment, tractors. How are these guys making any profit?
Oh, exactly. That's been the big concern for those who use their hands and work hard to literally feed America. And then another big concern in Alabama and throughout the Southeast United States, I bring that up because of Senator Coach Tommy Tuberville running for governor in Alabama, has mentioned that the Chinese Communist Party, they own land here in America that should be in American hands. But sometimes these outrageous regulations leave our farmers no other choice than to put up these bird killers, as President Trump has put it, in the Green New Scam. No windmills are in China, but my goodness, do they like to put them right here in America?
So, yeah, that is just atrocious. I don't think any foreign entity, foreign body needs to own land in America. They can rent or lease land, but no one should own American land but Americans. That's one of the things I want to combat too. I think it's over 400,000 acres China owns. And not only that, but we've got to look at what we're doing, period. I know out in West Texas and New Mexico where I ranched, windmills were everywhere. They'd freeze up during the winter. They'd lock down. If it's not windy that day, you're just not going to produce any output or power. You'll never reach carbon zero on them because it takes so much labor just to excavate all the material to make them. It's just feasibly stupid.
Now, as a United States Senator, how would you hope to work with Secretary Brooke Rollins and others in the administration to make sure that America not only has sovereignty, but that the pesticides are removed from the farming in America and all the agricultural services, because so much has been exposed through not only her great work, but that of Secretary Kennedy over at HHS to get poisons literally out of the food supply. It was a highlight of the $600 billion deal, in fact, with the European Union and the United States back over the summer at Trump Turnberry in Scotland, that finally the European Union will actually buy cattle and poultry and dairy from the United States. They once did not want to, because again, our farmers and ranchers were left with options when it came to injecting the food supply, but also those harmful chemicals that we find here stateside.
Well, our great Governor Kemp here in Georgia just passed a new bill saying farmers can use as much pesticide and weed killer as they want on all of theirs. So that's not very helpful. But, you know, we've got to come up with a way. Monsanto has repeatedly just hurt the environment, hurt the American people with all of these pesticides and everything. I don't know if you realize this, but they came up with Agent Orange to be a pesticide at one point. And so we've just got to do better for the people. This is causing cancer and other autoimmune diseases. It's hurting people's bodies. We've got to stop all this immediately.
Yes, it's something that I feel is very bipartisan, but it seems like the Maha crowd is actually taking it on. So sad to see that Governor Kemp would join, I guess, big business in order to allow those chemicals to continue their procurement and harming the American people. Very sad to see that, as he is now a lame duck governor. But what else do you hope to achieve in the United States Senate? We have a breaking peace deal and plan in the Middle East. We also have a government shutdown happening because of Democrats in the Senate. How do you help or how do you hope that your common sense voice from the outside might make a difference in the halls of Congress?
I'm just wanting to bring help and relief to America. Both sides are hurting. Latest statistic I read is that 37% of Americans now are on some sort of welfare program. To me, that's atrocious to be what's supposed to be the greatest nation in the world and having that many people desperately needing help. So I want to bring welfare reform, send people back to trade school and apprentice school jobs so that they can get a skill set to get out of poverty and off taxpayer bills. We've got to start handling the national debt and not wasting taxpayer money. It's causing massive inflation, and I think that's part of the issue we're seeing with welfare is it's pushing people out of middle class because they just can't afford to live anymore. I want to fight the medical and pharmaceutical price gouging. Being involved with animals and livestock, I can tell you firsthand, as soon as they label something for human use only, they jack up the prices thousands, if not millions of dollars. I want Social Security reform. What we're doing is not working. You get a negative return of investment. It's just a common sense approach to government. If you wouldn't allow it in your business or household, why are we letting our government do it?
It's a common sense
also
approach.
On executive order reform. You didn't hear this one. I want executive order reform. Like what I want to do is make it a 4-year sunset law when they write an executive order. If Congress doesn't codify it within 4 years, then it becomes null and void, and make it retroactive to 1910 so we can clean up a lot of our government. Right now, we have 425 federal agencies, and over 300 of them are legally formed. So this would help clean up the bureaucracy.
Oh, that's a very interesting topic because I have not heard many candidates speaking to that, Reagan, whether it be on the Republican or Democrat side. So how would that affect the retroactive laws back to 1910? Are you stating that it's the executive has too much leeway right now in putting forward their own demands and that the Congress is simply sleeping at the wheel?
Basically, yes. And it's been grossly abused. So FDR wrote the most executive orders with 3,721. Coolidge was the second place with 1,500. And this is where a lot of the progressive issues that we're dealing with today have stemmed from. So if we clean that out of the system and give us basically a clean slate, I think it'll just help society rebuild and go more to the Constitution, which we should have kept with it from the get-go.
You know, that seems to be quite a hot topic with those politicos who are paying close attention to all this, that claim that since Bill Clinton on that we've seen a lot of executive orders. But as you noted, dating back to Calvin Coolidge and FDR, so many of those happening within the mid-20th century. Reagan, where can we find all of the work you're doing so people can keep up with your campaign as you go into 2026?
ReaganForSenate.com. And I'll just put in a little plug, guys, donate. We've got to take our elections back from the special interest groups because that's what's going on. This is how the candidates are raising so much money. And it doesn't take a lot. It just takes people giving 10,000 people doing $10 a month. That's $100,000 a month coming in the campaign. And you can make it work when you're not paying for political consultants to make you relatable. You're not paying for fancy offices and all of this other stuff. We've got to bring this back to what it should have been, about the people the whole time.
And in so many cases, so goes Georgia, so goes the nation. Many very important races like your own that we'll be watching in 2026. So please feel free to come back to the Voice of Reason. It's Reagan Box. She's running for the United States Senate in the Peach State of Georgia.
Thank you.
Thank you to Reagan Box for taking the time to visit the Voice of Reason. Some more advice as we close out the show today. Don't get married until you learn these 7 marriage rules. And I think Charlie would have appreciated these. Number 1, love fades without respect. Respect must always come first. 2, money secrets destroy marriages faster than infidelity. That is a very true fact. Number 3, attraction matters, but shared values keep you together for life. Number 4, never involve outsiders in your fights. Privacy protects trust. So very true. Number 5, physical intimacy is not optional. It's the glue that holds a marriage together. Number 6, ego kills faster than mistakes. Learn to say sorry first. If you don't say sorry anywhere else in life, say sorry to your spouse. Number 7, marriage doesn't fix your wounds. Heal yourself before you commit. I'm glad we had a show today focused on marriage and Charlie's way of living life. A fitting tribute to a man who is now a recipient of the highest civilian order, the Medal of Freedom, in these United States of America. The winners this week here at the Voice of Reason have to be 34 years ago yesterday. The United States Senate confirming Clarence Thomas to the bench. He's been a voice for originalism, for that context that believes that the Constitution is written as written, someone who deeply loves this country, an American patriot, someone who put up with the nonsense of the auto pen way back in 1992, and from Democrat attacks to try to keep him off the bench. Clarence Thomas, a winner this week, in addition to Erica Kirk, her grace, her courage, her articulate words at the Rose Garden ceremony this week, stating that heaven gained what earth could not contain, what earth could no longer contain. A free man made fully free, speaking of her late great husband, Charles James Kirk, the winners this week. Now, the losers this week have to be Judge Karen Briggs, who released the assailant of Big Balls. You may have heard of him, someone who is working on those Doge specialties as an intern, and Elon Musk taking to X himself, stating that this person is racist for her actions. It's sad when judges and district attorneys general, like Tish James, put politics before the law. So, Judge Briggs, do better. When there's dangerous people out on the streets, it means violence and crime. In addition, another loser this week has to be the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who told a reporter to shut up, to quote the California representative. Quite nice to see that she has big words for America as we bid you adieu on tonight's show. On this day in history, lots happening on October 16th, 1492. Christopher Columbus's fleet anchors in the Bahamas. Of course, we celebrated Columbus Day this week. The Battle of Leipzig in 1813, the largest battle in Europe prior to World War I, where Napoleon's troops and forces defeated Prussia and Austria and Russia, all in a matter of days. Now, in 1854, Abraham Lincoln giving the Peoria speech, standing against the extension of slavery. This will be 6 years before he took the Republican Convention nomination to become the first Republican president of the United States. Also, October 16th of 1867, Alaska adopts the Gregorian calendar and crosses the international date line. In 1875, Brigham Young University founded right here in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the United States. Now, in 1901, Booker T. Washington and his family invited to dine at the White House with President Teddy Roosevelt and his wife Edith, prompting condemnation from the South. Sadly, other dark days in history, too, on this October 16th. In 1916, Margaret Sanger introducing the first birth control clinic in Brooklyn. Also, the Nuremberg trials, 10 Nazi leaders executed as war criminals after those in 1946. And finally, in 1915, 1950, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first edition of C.S. Lewis's, released in London. And if memory serves me correctly as well, so when the Bay of Pigs got underway in 1860, 1962. Lots happening on this day in history. Thank you for joining us here on The Voice of Reason. It's punchlines, it's politics, it's that touch and dash of Western charm, and it's always a joy to be with you, even though our Cubbies, they're out of the playoffs, but hey, next year is almost here. In the meantime, make sure to turn your dials to The Voice of Reason at Right Side Broadcasting Network every Thursday night at 6 o'clock. Until then, be well. God bless you. We'll see you soon.